Now recording. All right, cool. Are you ready, Lloyd?
I am born ready.
He's born ready, people. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stadia Cast episode 19. Man, 2 weeks without hearing that music is too long. What do you think, Lloyd?
I agree 100%, Bill. I had a fantastic vacation, but you know what? I was missing something on my vacation, doing Stadia Cast.
Me too. And, you know, if you're here for the live show, hang out afterwards and we'll tell you about our vacations in a very, very quick, succinct fashion. But that's not going to be on the audio feed. That's just for the live listeners. It's a little bonus to those guys. Before we get started, speaking of live, we record this show live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern at youtube.com/StadiaCast. If you want to leave a voicemail for StadiaCast, you can do so by heading over to runjumpstomp.com/voicemail from any device, and we may even play it on the show. If you want to directly support StadiaCast, you can head on over to anchor.fm/StadiaCast and click the support this podcast link. For as little as $1, you can help Lloyd and I create future episodes of StadiaCast. I have an apology to get out to everybody because 2 weeks ago when we were recording episode 18, we finished recording and then I went on about, and then later on that day I messaged Lloyd and I said, Lloyd, I screwed up. I forgot to tell everybody that I was going to be on vacation and we wouldn't have an episode last week or next week. And he said, it's okay just to put out a tweet, but I felt bad not letting people know. So I'm sure that there are people who showed up for the live show and were like, where the hell is everybody? So for those of you who were looking for an episode, I apologize. That's on me for not remembering that I went on vacation to New York City. And if you want to know about that, then you should have been at the live show. Anyway, Lloyd, are you ready to talk about some Stadia stuff?
I am, dude. I was hoping that we would had a little bit more news to talk about because of the AMA and kind of leaving it. Oh, you're going to hear about something very soon. It's like, okay. And then I was thinking, well, this is Google, who I guess beta for Google is 8 years, so very soon could be I don't know how much time. So maybe it's on par for a Google kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I would like to have had another Stadia Connect by now, but we do have right around the corner, we've got Gamescom. And if you don't know what Gamescom is, it's basically another gaming convention where there's going to be a bunch of announcements and stuff. And sure enough, I'm sure that there are going to be some Stadia announced. Actually, Stadia actually tweeted at Google Stadia. If you don't follow them, you should. At Google Stadia tweeted on, back on June 7th, they said, hey there, thanks for the tweet. On June 6th, we announced our first wave of games for our launch portfolio. We'll have more game-related news to share at Gamescom, and of course, more titles will be added to the launch lineup as publishers announce them throughout E3 and beyond. So this is back during E3. And Lloyd and I were both kind of in the same boat. We were both thinking, all right, E3 was on its way, and Google got out in front of E3 and said, here's our stuff, which made perfect sense because then other companies could announce their stuff that was coming to Stadia, Ubisoft and things like that. So it made a lot of sense for them to announce it early. And we both kind of anticipated that that was what was going to happen again when we talk about Gamescom, which is coming on, it's Europe, so they wrote the dates backwards, which is incredibly, it hurts my brain. August 24th is when it starts, and then it says for all, August 24th is when it starts. So
yep.
Both Lloyd and I were figuring, or figured that we would end up seeing something from Google before Gamescom. I mean, there's still time, but
Yep.
we were hoping to have some stuff to talk about today, and we don't. So we've got 15 more days until Gamescom starts. Actually, we've got 15 days, 23 hours, 49 minutes, and 8 seconds as of this recording. And you know, we're at the mercy of Google figuring out what's going on. So, do you have any predictions, Lloyd, for Gamescom announcements?
I don't know. Nintendo said they're showing some stuff off at Gamescom, so there is going to be some big news coming out of there. You got to think that Google would want to be there because they are launching in a few territories over there. So it's not like it's just a US only launch. So I got to think they're gonna talk about it. Maybe they're gonna show off a couple more exclusives. Maybe they'll show off a little bit more about what their pricing is going to be, which we know is going to be the same price as anywhere else. But maybe they'll use that time to, I don't know, I don't know, sand down the rough edges from both of the announcements that we've had, because it's as clear as Google thought that they were. It seems like maybe they could have been a little bit clearer for people, because there's still some ambiguity in some of the things that they've said. So maybe they can use that to hammer that down a little bit more.
Yeah, Turza Reactor in our live chat says that Google has 2 stands booked. So like they've secured 2 sections for the I can't bring up the Gamescom like floor plan to see. Oh, wait. Now here we can. I can bring up the hall plan, as they like to call it, I guess. See if I can find no catering, no, general hall and site plan. Here we go. Here's the PDF. I'm opening it up right now. This is how we do it live, folks. And no, that's completely useless. It's in not Japanese. It's in German. So I don't speak German. I don't read German, so I'm screwed. But you know what? Hey, it's going to be fine. We're going to find out sooner rather than later. But the idea that Google actually has, they actually have like places where you can try stuff out at Gamescom. I think that that's very important. Um, how accurate that's going to be when compared to what it's going to be like to play at home is, you know, that leaves a lot to be said, in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe at some point in the future we can find out more about this. And I think I just closed something that I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, here we go. It keeps going back. Okay. So I found this on Reddit a few days ago. And it's basically somebody had looked at the official YouTube account for Stadia,
Mm-hmm.
and they noted what other channels they were following or subscribed to on YouTube. So we've got Guilt Game. Of course, we already know that Guilt is coming to Stadia. We've got Capcom. Capcom opens up a lot of things that hasn't been mentioned yet, like Street Fighter. Like I know that
Mm-hmm.
didn't we saw that Mortal Kombat was. Did we see
They're
Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, they're in that sizzle reel.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we saw Mortal Kombat, but it looks like Street Fighter. I mean, if they're following Capcom, my guess is that Street Fighter is probably going to come along with things like Monster Hunter, which Monster Hunter makes perfect sense to launch on Stadia, because this is a game that is all about multiplayer. You can play it solo, but you don't have to play it solo.
Mm,
But I think that this is pretty good. I'm actually going to drop this in the live chat so people can look at the full list, and so Lloyd can look at the full list too, because I did not put this in the show notes by accident. Um,
sure.
Rockstar Games. So Rockstar is going, you know, that'll probably be Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5.
Mm-hmm.
EA Sports. So I'm sure they're going to get a version of Madden on there. What else do
Yeah.
we have? Sega America. What do you think Sega America is going to bring? Crazy
Um,
Taxi
it could be the Sonic,
Racing?
whatever the, oh, yeah, Sonic Racing, and there's the whatever the last Sonic Mania or whatever. Maybe
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
port that over as well.
That's a great
Plus, like
game.
they'll probably release all of their old games. They'll release the Sonic Classics collection or something. That they seem to put that on every single platform that they can. Thereabouts anyway.
Right. And they're also following Bandai Namco, What games are they responsible for recently that are not Nintendo Switch exclusive games? Because I
Um,
know that they've been doing a
there's
lot.
there would be the Dragon Ball Fighter Z
Oh, okay.
was the big one. Dark Souls, isn't that Bandai Namco as well?
Is it?
Um,
I think it might be.
so yeah, there's some recent things that they've released that aren't platform specific. So that would make sense. Going back to Capcom, it could also maybe mean Resident Evil because the Switch had that Resident Evil 7 streaming version in Japan where they were basically just, I guess, testing out what it would be like to do game streaming.
Hmm.
So that would be a perfect thing that they can kind of move over to Stadia as well.
Oh, doesn't Sega make Fantasy Star online?
Yeah.
So
So
Fantasy
maybe,
Star Online could be whatever they're doing for Stadia.
yeah, that's right.
So we'll find out in 15 days if there's going to be more announcements of games. I hope that they make some announcements that nobody sees coming. I would I don't personally play it anymore, but I would love to see Fortnite come to Stadia. I would
Mm,
like to see Rocket League come to Stadia, although both of those are now owned by Epic Games. So I mean, Epic Games has always owned Fortnite, but now they bought Rocket League as well. So I would really like to see some of those games. I would like to see what's that Monster Hunter clone?
um, oh yeah, what's it
Starts with
called?
a D.
Dauntless? Is that what
Dauntless.
it
Yes, I
is?
would like to see
Yeah,
Dauntless come. Like these games that are very very focused on online connectivity, where you don't really want to play Dauntless single player. So
right.
I think it would make a lot of sense for games like Dauntless and Monster Hunter to come to Stadia, where online connectivity is obvious. Everybody's connected all the time. And the same thing with Fortnite. You're not going to be. You don't want to. You can't play Fortnite without an internet connection unless you're playing the Save the World version. And who really wants to do that? You
Right.
know, Speaking of Fortnite, do you want to take a second to talk about this weird ninja stuff?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So Ninja, huge streamer, big Twitch streamer. He I would say, well, maybe it's not completely accurate, but he pretty much single-handedly put Fortnite on the map because he streamed with Drake, and that is all you heard for weeks was, "Oh my God, can you believe Drake was playing with this guy named Ninja, and they're playing Fortnite, and they're playing on Twitch," and it helped Twitch, it helped Fortnite, and it helped Ninja as well. So he makes millions of dollars a year streaming. He has deals with Red Bull. He has deals with a whole bunch of different other companies. So he's big news, and he was a big part of Twitch. Twitch made a lot of money by Ninja being on their platform. All of a sudden, he just announced a few days ago, "Hey, I'm on Mixer now," and he had a big press conference with Microsoft at the Mixer conference, and said that I'm now a permanent full time Mixer streamer, and I'm going to be bringing this platform, and I'm getting back to my roots. Of course, what he didn't say is they dropped $100 million in my bathtub, so I had to do it, or whatever that big monetary amount is, but. It's really interesting that one of the biggest streamers would leave his audience on Twitch and move over to Mixer. But it just shows how quickly things can move in this industry, where a sure thing today isn't necessarily a sure thing tomorrow, which means that Stadia coming out could be the disruption that a lot of people are gonna leave. They're gonna leave from Twitch to go to YouTube Gaming, and stream their games through Stadia that way. So a really interesting, kind of tangentially related to Stadia, but it was just, to me, bizarre because he was making so much money being a Twitch partner.
Yeah, I think that it's more than a little tangentially related to Stadia because look, people can stream games on a lot of different places. There's Facebook streaming, there's Twitch, there's Mixer, there's YouTube gaming, which I wonder, and that we can talk about this later maybe. If YouTube gaming, that identity will just disappear and it will just become Stadia. I don't know.
Mm,
But there's all of these places, and how do you differentiate yourself? Um, how does a streaming service differentiate itself when essentially they all work the same way? You've got, a spot where you can see people playing the game, and then on the side you've got a chat box where you can interact with the streamer. And there's a lot of different ways that these streaming companies can look to separate themselves from uh, the other examples out there, but more and more they're all kind of becoming homogenous and all becoming the same. Like when he left and went to Mixer, I grabbed my phone and I downloaded Mixer, and I was just curious what Mixer was like because I had never really tried it out. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, it feels exactly like Twitch with a couple of things that differentiate it, but not anything that really stands out. So how is it that Stadia and Twitch and Mixer can differentiate themselves? How can they get people to go to these places? And it's going to be by bringing the shows to those platforms. And I think that that's something that Microsoft now understands. Microsoft looks at this and they say, Tyler Blevins has a giant, massive, massive, massive audience. And right now, nobody is paying attention to Mixer. We tried to launch it and nobody paid attention because why would they leave what's already kind of working over on Twitch to come
Yep.
over here? And I'm not just talking about the streamers, I'm talking about the audience. And, when I first started streaming, I kind of bounced back and forth between YouTube gaming and Twitch. And I always looked at it as, the grass is always greener over on one side or the other.
Right.
So, like when I was streaming on Twitch, I'd look at YouTube and I'd be like, there's so much less competition over there. And then when I'd go over to YouTube and I'd say, there's so many more eyeballs over there. And I could never make up my mind which way I wanted to go. I ended up settling on Twitch just out of a lucky happenstance that my audience grew there faster than it did on YouTube. But when when all things are said and done, it's going to be the big channels are going to be where you go to watch these different these different play shows. And YouTube, I feel like they need to get out there and start grabbing some big streamers and saying, hey, when this launches, we want you to exclusively stream on Stadia. And
Right.
unless they do that, I do feel like they will have trouble pulling people away from Twitch. And Twitch is the 800-pound gorilla. Of course, YouTube is also a huge gorilla, but not when it comes to live streaming. Their interface for live streaming is terrible. If I sit down and I want to watch something live, it's like 15 clicks before I can find the thing that I'm looking for. So they need to
Right.
do something to make that better. And I don't know what they're going to do. But in addition to fixing their UI, which I'm sure that they'll do once Stadia launches, they also really need to attract streamers. And it can't just be the tiny little streamers like myself and like Lloyd, because that's just not going to be enough to get the audience to come over to YouTube for live. Because right now, when you say live, the first thing that pops into people's minds is Twitch. When
Yeah.
you say watch a video, people think YouTube, but they never think of streaming over there. And I think that that's a shame because it works just as well, if not better. Honestly, I actually like the YouTube interface better
Right.
for sitting down and watching a stream, just not finding a stream. Does that make sense, Lloyd?
Yeah, definitely. And you said differentiating the different services, and I think Mixer is trying to do a lot of that. Like Ninja aside, for I want to say about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, they announced interactive gaming. So they launched it with Minecraft. And if you were streaming Minecraft, you could put up a little bar below your stream where people could spawn mobs and give you stuff just by clicking buttons on the screen. And then they went one step further to say you could do controller sharing. So if you're streaming from Xbox, you go into your broadcast and capture settings and you go share your controller. and then it's shared with the people that are watching you, and then they just have to hit things on their keyboards. So they hit like ER up down on the keyboard. They can hit like different triggers and things like that, so they could play the game for you, or they could do weird things to put you in like bad situations, and you take your control back and try to get out of that. So they've been trying a lot of things to kind of differentiate themselves. So Stadia could do the same thing. Like they could add features. The biggest feature right now is going to be you're on YouTube and you see a little play now button. That is a huge differentiator from any other service, because people are already going to YouTube
Yeah.
to watch the videos, right? There's a lot of people that stream on YouTube. Like I watch, back to Fortnite, I watch a streamer called Nick A30. Awesome streamer. I watch him with my daughter. He's family friendly, fantastic. When he's streaming, he regularly has like 40,000 people on YouTube watching him stream, which is just a ridiculous amount of people that are watching. So if they could take those large numbers, and if they could offer exclusivity to him or something, so other streamers like that, I think they could have the big splash that that Mixer did, because you never heard people on Twitch, or sorry, on Twitter, talk about Mixer. On my feed, rarely anybody was talking about Mixer. And then all of a sudden Ninja announces that he's exclusively on Mixer, and all I heard for a while is, well, maybe I should move to Mixer. And it's really kind of funny to see the way that the masses kind of move in a big group, from one solution to another. It would be really interesting to see kind of the hit that Twitch took for the first weekend, if there was less people watching, less people streaming, or if it was really just a drop in the bucket for them because they're so huge.
I have to be honest. I considered trying out streaming on Mixer just because of this, because there's a large number of people who are suddenly on Mixer, and the number of streamers that are on Mixer is tiny compared to Twitch.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you can be a small fish in a small pond and, get people to find your stuff. Whereas on Twitch, you're a small fish in a giant pond, and it's almost impossible to get discovered. That's one of the biggest problems with Twitch, is the discoverability is just terrible.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when you're looking at YouTube, discoverability is fantastic. It's really, really easy for people. It's a searchable platform. There's a lot of discoverability that can happen on YouTube, and hopefully that stuff works with Stadia as well. And
Mhm.
another thing about Stadia that will differentiate, and I think in a big way, and this may be good or it may be bad, but another thing that can differentiate Stadia from Mixer and Twitch is the idea that you don't have to have any hardware outside of whatever you're using to play your game in order to stream. Like the upfront cost of all that
Yeah.
is out of the window, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's fantastic, because that means everybody everybody can be a streamer without any know. Like, my son wants to be a streamer, and I told him, well, I'm going to hold off and see what happens, and when he gets older, maybe I'll let him stream on YouTube, because then I don't have to buy anything for him to, I don't have to buy him a capture card and all this stuff, because then he would just be able to sit down and stream on Stadia.
Right.
This could be good, because that means everybody can be one. Like, if you look at podcasting, all you need is a microphone. You don't need
Yeah.
anything else other than a microphone, and you are able to create a podcast, a microphone, and an idea. And that democratization of media makes it so that anybody can create a podcast, and that's why podcasting is so damn awesome.
Hmm.
The way that Stadia can make it so anybody can be a streamer with almost no investment is could have the same effect, but it also could mean that you're going to run into the same problem that happens on Twitch, where you're a tiny fish in a giant pond, and unless YouTube makes discovery a very, very important part, which they have on YouTube, but unless
That's right.
Stadia makes a discovery an important part, then it's going to be really hard to get any eyeballs to notice you.
Hmm. I agree.
Speaking of Microsoft, we've got some I don't want to say leaks, but I guess some applications have showed up ahead of some upcoming public tests. This comes to us from Windows Central, and
Should we
it
take a break before we jump right into this one?
that's a great idea. I almost forgot about our sponsors. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Microsoft, and you guys will just have to wait to find out what was it that Bill was going to say. Be right back.
Color? Introducing Game Gear from Sega. The full-color portable video game system that separates the men from the boys. Game Gear from Sega.
All right, we're back. Lloyd, thank you for catching that, because I'm out of practice after 2 weeks and not having a conversation with you, and that was perfect. So, Xbox Cloud, that is their answer to Google Stadia. They have a couple of apps that have shown up. This comes to us, like I said, from Windows Central, and it says Microsoft plans to kick off Project xCloud trials this October. Notice that that's happening right before Stadia. That's hilarious. I mean, we talked about this before, but I still wonder if this is in response to Stadia saying we're launching in November, for xCloud to do their trials in October, or if it was always planned that way. The announcement of October came so fast after the Stadia announcement that it makes me think, there's no way that they didn't have that date planned already, because these things are slow-moving aircraft carriers. They're not speedboats. It takes a lot of effort to make a quick pivot like that. So,
Right.
I'm guessing that this is something that we already, or that was already happening. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Where did it go here? So there's a thing on, it looks like the Windows Store. It's called xCloud Test Game. It doesn't have any art. It just says it's the default publisher name, and then it is referred to as a shooter, and it has default short description. So I'm not sure what that is, but it's been posted, and I know this is not exactly Stadia related, but it's the competition to Stadia. And until Google gives us more to talk about, we're going to talk about their competition. So Google, if you're listening, and I know that you are, you got to give us more stuff to talk about. There's also one that's the xCloud Test Game, and then there's another one called xCloud Test Game Paid. So it seems like they may have a similar free version versus a paid version, and there's a lot of speculation as to how xCloud is going to be doing their monetization, because Stadia is getting they're getting a lot of hate over the fact that they've decided to make a store instead of a Netflix, even though they never said it was going to be the Netflix of games. That's what YouTubers were saying. And then when they said, okay, and here's what it is, it's a store, all those people were like, but it's not we predicted it was the Netflix, and so now that it's not Netflix, we're mad at you, and we hate all things Stadia. There's so many YouTubers out there that are still giving Stadia short shrift because of them making that announcement. But Xbox has a free and a paid version, and I'm sure that xCloud, I'm sure, will have a more of a Netflix style than Stadia does, because they have the subscription service that they already have, which I can't remember what's it called.
Xbox Games Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, Games Pass. You want to tell people about that real quick?
So at E3 they announced that they're bringing Games Pass, which is their Xbox all you can play service to the Xbox One. They're bringing it to PC. And because of that, they created a new account type called Games Pass Ultimate, which you basically when you pay for that, it's $15 a month, I believe, something like that. It's less if you buy a whole year, but that gives you access to Games Pass on Xbox One, Games Pass on PC, and Xbox Live Gold. So you get free games, you get all these other things. So what a lot of rumors are, what a lot of people are saying is that xCloud is just going to be baked into that. So if you're a subscriber, any game that you own on Xbox One or as part of Games Pass, you'll be able to stream into a web browser. That also means that any new release will be $60, and then you'll be able to play it because you're adding it to your Xbox One account. They've even gone so far to say that if you have an Xbox One at home, you can actually use your own personal Xbox One as your personal cloud server. So any game that you have currently loaded on your system will be playable on phone, on tablet, on browser, other places. So I think that xCloud definitely has the chance to really I don't know, unseat Stadia as the champion of online streaming before they even get to declare themselves as champion of online streaming, just because Microsoft has all of this content already, where Google has all of the bandwidth and servers and all this stuff. So it's just, they're coming at this problem from two different angles. One's coming with content, the other one's coming with hardware and networks and bandwidth. And it's going to be really interesting for the next year to see how all these things kind of play out.
I do think that you kind of differentiated Microsoft and Stadia as one's coming with content and one is coming with hardware. I think that I'm sure that Xbox will start with more content, but we talked about it, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes ago, that 4,000 developers signed up for Stadia, and Ubisoft has talked about porting our game to Stadia was really easy.
Sure.
So I think that there's going to be plenty of content on both, and I'm sure that the one thing that really differentiates Xbox from Stadia, or xCloud from Stadia, is the idea that you can use your Xbox as the server. And I have tried that. I have a Steam Link in the next room over there, and it's hooked up to my computer, and I have used that to play games that are on my computer on the TV in the other room, and it's just not great. It's not great. I've tried it with PlayStation, using my iPad with it, because I have iOS 13 beta on my iPad. I know I'm not supposed to, because I'm not writing about it or anything, but I decided to install it anyway and take the risk, because I know it's beta, it could break things. But I installed it on there, and you can connect a PlayStation controller to your iPad, which I tried. And then I connected it to my PlayStation, and I tried it a little bit, and I was like, all right, it's still super laggy because I don't have the same upload that Google does. So that one thing that I think a lot of xCloud fans are pointing to, saying this is why it's better, I think it's possible that could make it better. But most people just don't have the hardware or the bandwidth in order to upload at the rate that you need to be able to upload. And I will say this, these things weren't designed for uploading. Like, my computer was not designed to stream games to some other device. And that's obvious when I'm using it. And even here in the house, it's just not all that great. I do think that Google's going to be able to nail that, though. But go ahead.
The cool thing with xCloud, if it works like Microsoft says, is that I can go to a friend's house. He's playing Gears 4. I haven't played Gears 4 yet. And I'm like, can I borrow that for a little while? And he's sure. I take it home. I put it in my Xbox One, and then I can stream it to my PC because it's on my Xbox. Whether that service is going to be good or not, who knows, right? I've used PlayStation 4 Remote Play, and I played probably the bulk of Destiny 1 by playing on my Vita of all devices, and it was great. But it all depends on your network. I had a really good router at the time. I was able to make it so that the traffic that was coming from my PlayStation was prioritized over everything else. So that streaming service worked fine for me, even when I was out of the house, even though it was supposed to only be in the same house. That's what Sony kind of sold that as. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all starts off. And if it is Game Pass Ultimate, you get xCloud versions of all that. They immediately launch with 100 games.
Yeah.
Whether it's the 100 most recent games, no, but it's 100 games. You can play Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest, Halo, Gears of War, Forza Racing. That's going to be a hell of a lot of content for people that are making a buying decision. Do I want to just get this Game Pass $15 a month thing, or do I want to buy this $150 Founders Pack to get a controller and all this other stuff? So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. For me, I'm just happy because I can buy them both and I can have all the things if I want. I don't have to make a choice anymore. It's not like I'm buying a $600 piece of equipment to put in my house. If you're just doing the streaming test thing or the streaming service thing, it's you just put in your credit card and you're playing. It's a pretty fantastic future that we have ahead of us.
Especially because you don't have to subscribe to Stadia, and it looks like you won't have to subscribe to xCloud either. So you could just you can use both, and you could just buy the game on whatever platform you want. You don't. This is the thing that nobody seems to understand, is that the subscription service is an optional add-on.
That's right.
And that is a point that is lost on many YouTubers who are hating on Stadia on a regular basis. But I'm not going to get into that. You mentioned something that could unseat Stadia as the king or the de facto monarch of streaming. And, you said maybe Microsoft could do it, but it looks like maybe it might not be Microsoft. Have you ever heard of Tencent, Lloyd?
Yeah, they're a big Chinese game company. They release a lot of games. They partnered with Nintendo on a lot of stuff, but they also sell a lot of things in China. And I believe they're actually partnering with Nintendo to roll out the Nintendo Switch in China. So they're a really large company out there that China's China, right? They might not have all the options that other countries have, so they're kind of the one choice that they have for a lot of these things.
Right. Yeah. I think when the Switch, aren't they calling the Switch the IQ or something when it comes out in China?
I'm not sure on that. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they rebranded it to something that wasn't Nintendo Switch.
Well, anyway, Tencent Cloud is they're releasing their own cloud gaming solution. This was announced at China Joy 2019. I'm sure that this is going to be limited to just China, but I mean that's a massive market. Do we know if like Google Stadia is not going to be launched in China?
No, I don't think
so.
any of these services will, just because of the content regulations and a lot of the stuff that comes along with that.
Right. Well, if you were ever curious about like how big the Chinese market is, Tencent owns so much of the gaming industry that you don't even realize. Like they just own almost everything, it seems like, and they have their hands in everything, and they are making their own cloud gaming service. And they said here, edge computing brings people closer. At the Tencent Cloud further shortens the distance between players and services through the national edge computing data centers, providing low latency and low cost networking services. This is exactly Google's argument. Google has been saying for a while now, look, our edge nodes, we have more edge nodes than anybody else. That's going to mean that our stuff is going to be the lowest latency, and it's going to feel like you're playing on a device that is in your house. And that is basically what Tencent is saying here about their Tencent Cloud. They also have been serving, I guess they own WeChat. I've never heard of that one, but I guess they use that for high image quality video conferencing and stuff like that. And with 5G coming, I think that right now everybody's saying it's going to be Stadia or it's going to be xCloud. And what I think is possible is that it could be somebody else that nobody's ever heard of is going to launch.
Yeah.
Do they have the infrastructure that Google does? Who knows? But maybe as 5G launches, that won't be nearly as important. Only time will tell. Are you
Yeah.
ready to hit? Oh, go ahead.
There's a really another interesting wrinkle about this whole thing is a few years ago, Tencent bought a 40% stake in Epic Games, so they own almost half of Epic Games. So when you give $10 to Epic for Fortnite, $4 of that is going to Tencent. So who knows? Maybe in the future, Epic has already disrupted the industry with their game store, offering more money to developers. Well, maybe they offer. Well, you publish a game on Epic Game Store, and it's immediately streamable by everybody. And they use the Tencent game streaming service to do it. So now Epic Games is not only a store and a game developer, they're also a cloud gaming, company. So you buy the next, I don't even know what games are coming on Epic Game Store. I'm so out of the loop on that. But whatever the next big game coming on Epic Game Store is, and then you can immediately just hit play. You can download it to your PC if you want, or you can just hit play and then stream it from the cloud. And all of a sudden now they've done something that Steam can't do, and maybe that's going to push them into the lead as far as online game stores is. Like, if there's so many things that are happening right now in the industry. It's just I don't think I've ever seen the industry this turbulent as far as like things that aren't the norm happening all at the same time. So I've said it a lot today. Even it's going to be an interesting next couple of years to see all this stuff shakes out. But maybe the whole console sitting under your TV thing, maybe that doesn't have even 5 years. Maybe there's going to be enough services online that someone's going to be able to find a solution that works for them, and they can just buy their games online and play it. I don't know. It's pretty exciting for me. Not having to buy $600 consoles is a good thing.
You know what this makes me think of is if you had gone back, I don't know, let's say 10 years, and you had said, who are the biggest names in video? I would have said, okay, so that would be NBC and CBS and maybe like HBO and things like this. And then you fast forward today and you're like, who are the biggest names? And you're like, oh, it's Hulu and it's Netflix and it's Amazon. And you're like, really? Like, if you had gone back 10 years ago and told me that Netflix was going to be the place where people are watching video, I would have said, you are crazy.
Totally.
Technology allows the industry, like whatever industry it's infecting, to change at such a rapid pace that it is impossible to predict where things are going, and it makes it very fun to keep an eye on as well.
Definitely.
Are you ready for some crowd play?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, we've got a couple of YouTube comments and tweets to get to. First off, we got one from at Playin Nintendo sent us a tweet. They said, asking for a friend. And the question was, since so many people have went hands-on with Google Stadia in recent weeks, has anyone definitively figured out if Google Stadia controller can also double as a controller with the Pixelbook for Google Play games? Can it connect to devices over Wi-Fi as well as USB? So for this, I would say Wi-Fi is probably exclusive to Stadia. However, I'm going to guess that if you just have a USB cord going from your controller to your computer, that I'm going to guess that it's just going to pick up as a HID device, and it'll probably work fine. Stadia actually did reply to this tweet, and they said, hey there, at this time we have no news to share regarding Google Play Store games. We've designed Stadia controller to work the best with Stadia. You can use the Stadia controller to play wirelessly on all screens, TV, computer, tablet, and phone, and wired with a USB cable on computers, tablets, and phones. Wireless game play requires Wi-Fi, and all gameplay requires an internet connection. So my guess is yes, you will be able to use it to control whatever game you want, as long as it's plugged in. But if you want to let it connect wirelessly, then you are going to be using it with Stadia. Does that mean that this thing doesn't have Bluetooth at all?
I don't know. I don't think it does have Bluetooth. I think it connects through Wi-Fi to the internet. But it has Bluetooth support for audio headsets, so maybe it has Bluetooth. I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait till we get some more hands-on with this to see exactly how it's connecting to these devices.
Were you just speculating that it has Bluetooth for audio, or do we know that?
No, I'm pretty sure I read that you can pair headsets to your controller for audio out. I'm gonna have to double check that. Maybe that is not. Maybe that is something that I read where someone was asking for it. I'm thinking back to the AMA when they were talking about Bluetooth.
Oh no, you're right. It's this is here on 9 to 5 Google. It says Google today hosted its first blah 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 blah. Where's the thing about the Bluetooth? Oh yeah. Here we go. Tech specs. Dual band 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Bluetooth LE 4.2. So yeah, it does support Bluetooth. You are correct, Lloyd. As always, whenever I have any doubt, I should just remember Lloyd is always right. We've got a question from Anthony Talcott. He said, because all you need is more questions. Oh yeah, he says, question for the podcast, because all you need is more questions from me. What is ray tracing, and could it come to Stadia? Also, is it smart of Stadia's Share Stadia to be giving away a Stadia controller so soon after selling the Founders Edition? So first off, I have no idea what you're talking about with the giving away a controller. It looks like Lloyd is Googling it right now. I will talk about ray tracing. Ray tracing is the way that basically a graphics engine can compute exactly what color something should be based on the light and the way that light bounces off of it, and it allows you to have things that look much more realistic. So that's like the super dumbed down version of it, which is all I can give you because I'm dumb. Is it going to come to Stadia? Absolutely, it's going to come to Stadia.
It's supported in the GPU that they're using for their blades. Ray tracing, even to go down a little bit deeper, what it does is it models the individual photons coming out of a light, and it models the bounce from the photons. So if it bounces off a shiny surface, that shiny surface gets illuminated. The photon bounces out and can illuminate other things in the scene. If it's more of a fuzzy surface or a bumpy surface, maybe it's going to diffuse the light in different ways. So it's going back to like the early days of computing, like 46 Pentium era where people were using ray tracing applications to take a scene and put a ball over here and a cone over here and a cube over here, and the cube is glass and this one's granite and this one's that, and the floor is wool, and then they would let their computer run for 3 days and it would compute this scene to make it look amazing. Ray tracing, real-time ray tracing is doing it all in real time. Bill's showing a video of Minecraft, which is just amazing. That's not even using the full ray tracing capabilities of the new modern CPUs that are coming. It's using an add-on pack to do it. So if Microsoft released a full ray tracing kernel for Minecraft, it would be even better. But if you look at like the Doom the Quake 2 demo that they shown, every single light surface in that game is using ray tracing. So it's mapping out the photons that are being emitted by this light and how it's illuminating the scene, which is really cool because there'll be an enemy around a corner firing his gun and you get the muzzle flash is lighting up down that hall and around the corner, and it fades normally like it would in real life. So it's pretty amazing. And it will definitely come to Stadia. The GPU that they're supporting, or that is in there, supports ray tracing by default, but it is a huge tax on the system. So if you enable ray tracing, the rest of the GPU being used for other things, it's going to be tied up. So they're going to have to downgrade some part of the game for using ray tracing for other parts of the game.
Do you know what they were talking about the giveaway thing?
ShareStadia.com is just another website. So it's not Google that is doing it. It's just a website that is giving it away. So it's not Google directly. It's just another. It's like us if we gave away a controller. It's just a third party that is doing it.
Okay, there you go. Thank you for the question, Anthony, and thank you for the question, Donnie. Or no, at Playing Nintendo's or Playing Nintendo. Okay, we got a bunch of YouTube comments. By the way, if you guys don't know, we record this live on YouTube. And by the way, anybody who's watching us live right now, do us a favor. Click on that like button because it helps us get more people to find our stuff. So make sure you click on that like button if you're watching this because that's really helpful. But we got a bunch of comments on our YouTube channel. And the first one, I'm not going to read all of them, but the first one here is from Renegade Robs. They said, "Hey, Stadia Cast, I just found you and love the streams. Is it on Spotify? Thanks." And yes, we are on Spotify. You can find this podcast pretty much anywhere that you want to. If you go to, actually, I'll bring it up right now, anchor.fm/Stadia Cast. And once that comes up, it says more places to listen. Right down here, it'll say more places to listen. First off, Spotify is right up there up front, but you can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Breaker, on Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Radio Public, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. All right, so there's a lot of places where you can listen to us. So make sure that you go subscribe, and you know what? Do us a favor, subscribe in all of them. There you go. Lloyd, you want to read this one from Power Fantastic?
Sure. Stadia is going to be a platform for optimized PC games, right? Why couldn't you carry over the saves to your desktop machine? And that was when we were talking about the ability to Google Takeout to take away your saves for the games. Yes and no. So Google Stadia is running on Linux. So I know there are some games where if you have a PC version and a Linux version, you can copy the saves from one to the other. But a lot of games, the platform is very specific for how the save games are done. So if you have, I don't know, Call of Duty, or if you have a Lego game, say, and you have it on your PC and you have it on your Mac, you can't take your PC save game and move it over to your Mac and vice versa. So for a lot of games, it's going to be the same thing on Stadia, just because it is a different, it's a different platform. It's Linux. It's not a PC. It's different architecture. Doesn't mean that some games will not support the importing of your Stadia saves. But to think that it's going to be every game just off the bat because it's a PC, I wouldn't make that guess. So yeah, Google Takeout will be your mileage may vary for those types of things.
And just so everybody knows, after I said that everybody should like the video, it went up 400%. So that's awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's see. We got another comment from Ashes to Ashes. They said, "I have noticed a ton of people either skip over it or don't understand it, but the free version of Destiny 2 on Stadia is the complete game, including the yet released Shadowkeep expansion. That expansion alone is $40. So it is a great deal. Food for thought for those unaware." And I think this is in response to last episode. I was talking about the fact that that I think that I found Destiny 2 was on sale someplace for like $10, and I was like, oh man, when Stadia said this is the value that you're getting for your what are we paying for Stadia Founders? 129?
129, or I think it's 150 in Canada. So
Okay,
my
so
numbers are a little off.
100 and something. You're getting this, like they were like, this is how much you're paying, and you're getting this much value. And they included Destiny 2, and then it went on sale for $10. And I was like, oh man, they must have been so mad about that. But I totally forgot about the new expansion that's not even out yet. That's $40. Like, so even if you bought Destiny 2 when it was on sale for $10, you're still going to have to dump another $40 on it. Or you could just spend the $129 to get a Founders Pack. You get a controller, a Chromecast, and all that other stuff. So I think that that's pretty good.
Definitely.
Anything else, Lloyd?
And even better down the road, if it's still offered as one of the free games, is you would pay nothing. You'd pay your $10 a month, and you'd get access to it because it would go into your library because you've paid for that month of Stadia Pro, which is how they said it's going to work. It's going to work like PlayStation Plus. So if you like the free game of the month, you pay your $10 for that month, and it gets added to your library. And as long as you are paying for Stadia Pro, you can play those games that are in your library, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's see. Ryan Peck in chat says, will we be able to use the Stadia controller for playing Stadia on our mobile device, Pixel phone? How would they connect to each other? And Rez answered, of course, you would use that through USB-C. Ryan then follows up. He says, is there a way to mount the phone, or would that need to be a third-party solution? And my guess is it would need to be a third-party solution, or like a 3D printed thing. So there's going to be a lot of things out there once people get their hands on the actual Stadia controller.
Yeah.
I anticipate that there are going to be many, many, many little clips that you're able to buy that will have a clip the size of your Stadia controller, and then a clip the size of a Pixel 3, Pixel 4, Pixel 3 XL, Pixel 4 XL, Pixel 3a, all of these different Pixel phones. And then once Stadia launches for all of these other platforms, we'll probably see things for like iPhones and things like that. So
Yeah.
if you've got a 3D printer, get ready to make some money if you're good at designing stuff.
If you go back to the xCloud story, right at the top, there's an image of a universal clip that works with the Xbox One controller. So it can slide in for different phone sizes. There'll be a million of those things on Amazon down the road that will fit the Stadia controller. It'll fit PlayStation 4 controller, you name it. There's solutions like that are either available already or will be available soon. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Exactly. Lloyd's got it nailed. There's going to be so many of these things. It's going to be the hard thing is going to be finding the ones that are good, because there's going to be a lot out there that are very, very not good. And I just closed the show notes. So you want to vamp for a little bit, or maybe read a question from chat while
sure. Let's see. I don't see too many other questions. Rico in the chat room, and also Jay Smith asking, what are our predictions, and has there been a confirmation for the next Connect event? And there's no confirmation, and we don't know specifically. But as we talked about at the start of the show, they got to do something before Gamescom. I mean, that's the world stage is going to be there for gaming, and if they want to be part of that, that would be a great time for them to do it.
All right, I think it's time to button up the show. Are you ready to get out of here, Lloyd?
I am, Bill.
All right, follow the show on Twitter at Stadia Cast. You can follow me at Run Jump Stomp, and you can follow Lloyd at Dasme. That's DASME. Be sure to use the hashtag StadiaCast when you tweet at us, because that way we can figure out what show you're talking about, because we have other shows. What other shows do you have, Lloyd?
I do a Nintendo news show called Nintendo Pulse. Been doing it since 2006 or some crazy old number, which makes me way older than I want to be. But yeah, we've been doing that, and would love it if you gave it a listen and let us know what you think.
All right, and we'd like to thank the unofficial Discord server of the official Stadia subreddit for letting people know about our show, which you can check out at bit.ly/Stadia Discord. The music you are about to hear is Zircon Studios' Subterranean Kamikaze. Check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. See you guys later. Bye-bye, Lloyd.
Later.